Good evening everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. So here today we are going to be doing rationalization of denominators of radicals, also the rationalization of numerators, and expressing in the form a plus b the square root of 3. So how do you rationalize problems? So the first thing that you must know about rationalizing is the conjugate. So the first one that we have is, we are told that we have 2 the square root of 3 minus the square root of 2, then we have over 4 square root of 3. So rationalizing the denominator means that there should be no radical on the denominator. So how do we do this? If it is only a pure just one number there as a combined number, we are just going to get a radical, then multiply it on top and at the bottom. So this is the same as having the square root of 3 over the square root of 3, in such a way that if you look square root of 3 over the square root of 3, these two will be able to cancel. So we are going, this is the same as this 2 is being multiplied by the square root of 3. So rewriting this, I might represent my work as the square root of 3 open brackets 2 square root of 3 minus 2, like that. So over, then I have 4 times the square root of 3. So if you look at what I have here, I have a 3 times, so the radicals, how they work. So if you haven't watched my first video, you can watch the introduction in the comment section. You can just inbox. So we have the square root of 3. So this is the same as having square root of 3 times square root of 3. So here we have the power 1, power 1. Using the rules of indices, we are going to take one base and add the powers. So we have 1 plus 1, which will be a power of 2. So we are going to have square root of 3 times 2 square root of 3. We are going to have a 2. Same approach, take one base, which is our root of 3, then add the powers. We are going to have a 2 here as well. So you can use this approach. Then the square root of 3 times 2, this will give us minus a 2, then we have the square root of 3. So radicals will just multiply. If one doesn't have a radical, it will be 2 times whatever coefficient is here. So this, in this case, it's 2 times 1. So what we are doing, our square root of 3, we square it. If you want, you can have, if you have square root of 3 times square root of 3, this should be equal to what is inside multiplies, then we are going to have the square root of 9. So 3 times 3 is 9, which will give you square root of 3 is 9. If you want, you can do this. Then over, we are going to have our 4 square root of 3, like that. Then we have a squared. So what happens to the square is that this one and this one will cancel, this one and this one will cancel, which is the same as just multiplying what was inside. So we are remaining with 2. Inside we have 3 minus 2 square root of 3. So we have over a 12. So we have a 4 times 3, which is a 12. So we are going to have 2 times 3, it's going to give us 6 minus 2 square root of 3 over a 12. As long as there is no radical at the bottom, it means to say we have expressed the number in terms of rationalizing the denominator. Let's look at our next problem. So let's say we have x over x plus the square root of 3. So how do you do this one? So we are going to say the conjugate of a number simply means if you have, let's say, 3 minus 5, the conjugate of this number is that you get the same numbers 3 and 5, and if there is a negative here, you are going to put positive. So that is what we are going to do for this problem. So for this radical, the conjugate simply means to say the same sets of numbers, but you just change the sign. So this is the same as x minus the square root of y. Then on top, we are going to have still our x minus the square root of y. So this is our conjugate. So this now times, we are going to have, this is the same as x multiplying everything. So we have x, open brackets, x minus the square root of y over, now what does this mean? X times this one. So the conjugates we are going to have, so let me teach you something that real quick that we are going to be using. Let's say the same one that we have our x plus the square root of y times we have x minus the square root of y. So in order for us to multiply, this is the same as this one, multiplying everything, which can be represented as x, open brackets, we have x minus the square root of y, then the second number, which is plus our square root of y, then we have times x minus the square root of y, like that. So this way we have x times x, we are going to have our x squared, then we also have our x times y, it will be minus so x times square root of y, it will be negative x, it doesn't enter inside if it doesn't have the root y. Then our y times x, it will be, the x will be outside, then we have the square root of y, then we have minus we have y times y, it will be y squared. So what is inside multiplies like how we did 3 times 3, so y times y, it will be a y squared, like that. So this gives us x squared minus, now if you look at these are different signs, negative, positive, so they tend to more like cancel each other, so we are just going to remain with minus, then this power goes, we are going to have minus y. So now for convenience, we can now be able to establish that as long as you have a conjugate, this is what you are going to be doing. So for our x plus the square root of y times our x minus the square root of y, we are going to be having, just get the first number, multiply it with the first number, as long as it's a conjugate, meaning there is a different sign but there is different numbers. So our x times x, this will give us x squared, then we have positive times negative, it will be negative, then we have our y, like that, then we are going to have y, this is the same, so take one base and add the power, so the power will be a 2. So we are going to cancel this 2, we are going to cancel this 2, so we are going to have our x squared minus y, like that. So this is the same answer that we have gotten for this problem. So knowing that we can be able to use this in order for us to be able to find each and every time. So let's take away this one. So when we multiply our x times x, we are going to have our x squared, positive times negative, we are going to have minus, then we have our y, what is inside times what is inside, I think that one will be easier. So we are going to have our square root of y times y gives us y squared. So this squared and this one goes, so we are going to have something like this. So we have our x, open brackets, x minus the square root of y over we have our x squared minus, here we are remaining with what is inside, like that. So we are going to multiply now the x, which will be our x squared minus, that's x times x times negative root of y, it will be minus x square root of y over, we have our x squared minus y, like that. So this means to say you have rationalized the denominator. Let's look at our next problem. So we are still rationalizing the denominator. So we are going to have, this is the same as having x minus the square root of our x squared minus 9 over, we have our x plus the square root of our x squared minus 9. So we are going to open the bracket and multiply the conjugate of this number. So the conjugate is the exact number with a change in sign. So we have our x minus the square root of x squared minus 9, like that. So that means that's our conjugate there. Then when we find our conjugate up here, we are going to find our value to be equal to the same one, which is our x minus the square root of x squared, then minus 9, like that. So when we do our math, on top it will multiply. So we are going to represent our work like this. So we have this x, it multiplies everything there. So we are going to be having our x, then open brackets, we have our let's leave some space. We have our x, x, open brackets, multiplying everything that's there, which will be our x minus the square root of our x squared minus 9. Then the second number multiplies the whole of that. So we have minus the square root of x squared minus 9. Then times, this will multiply times x minus the square root of x squared minus 9, like that. So we have over all of this over, we have our x times x. We are going to have the same approach. As long as it's a conjugate, multiply the first with the first. So we have x times x. We are going to have our x squared. Then remember what I taught you. You just add these powers. Since the number is the same, we can keep one. So positive times negative, it will be negative. Then we are going to say the open brackets, the square root of the same number, x squared minus 9. Then these powers, 1 plus 1, it will be a 2, like the rules of indices. So after doing that, we are going to have our x times x on top. We are going to have our x squared. Then we have our x times this thing, it will be minus x square root of our x squared minus 9. Then we have this negative times this x, we have minus x. Then we have the square root of x squared minus 9. Last but not the least, we have this one times this one. So as you can see, it is the same, but this negative times this negative, it will be positive. Then we have what is inside, the square root of x squared minus 9, like that. Then what happens, since we are multiplying the same thing, it will be the same as 1 times the one that is there. Then it will be a power of 2, like that. So in brackets like that. Then we have over. So all of this, it will be over what we have down here. So down here we have x squared. Then this power and this one will cancel. So we have negative open brackets x squared minus a 9, like that. So we are going to have our x squared on top. So we have x squared minus x. So we are adding negative x minus x. So everything is the same. So as long as it's the same, you can just add algebraically. So this is the same as just looking at negative x minus x. Let's just ignore this part. Let's just add the coefficient, then maintain what is inside since it's the same. Negative x minus x will give us a minus 2x. Then we have the square root of our x squared minus 9, like that. Then we have our power here will cancel. So this power 2 will go, this power 2, the square root will go there. Then we are going to have plus, we open the brackets, we have x squared minus 9, like that. Then this over, we have our x squared. Then this negative by x, it will be negative x squared. This negative by 9, it will be plus a 9, like that. So we are going to have our x squared minus 2x. Then we have the square root of our x squared minus 9. Then we open the brackets, we are going to have x squared minus 9, like that. Then this one over our x squared minus x, it will be 0. Then we have positive 9 there. So this is what we have. Then we are just going to add on top. So we have our x. Let's check if it's supposed to be positive. Yeah, so it's supposed to be positive. So we are going to add our x squared plus x squared. We are going to have our 2x squared. So we are going to have 2x squared. Then we are going to say minus a 2x minus a 2x square root of our x squared minus 9, like that, because x plus x will be that. Then we have minus 9 over a 9, like that. That means that we have solved that one. So our fifth one, we have a v which should be equal to 1 over, we have the square root of 2 plus 1. So this one will give you, we have 1 over the square root of 2 plus 1. This is the same as having times 1 over the square root of 3 minus 1, like that. So I haven't changed anything, so I can multiply like that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a conjugate on both numbers. So I'm going to have 1 over, we have the square root of 2 plus 1, apply a conjugate here, it will be the square root of 2 minus 1. So the conjugate, it's not that you always add a negative to the radical, even if you say negative square root of 2, but you have to just change the sign on one number. It's still okay and it will give you the same answer. So we choose to make negative 1 the negative 1. Yeah. Then we have times 1 over, we have the square root of 3 minus 1, like that. Then we are going to multiply this by the square root of 3 plus 1. Since here it is negative, it will be positive there. Then this one, we are going to now multiply it by whatever we do at the bottom, we have to do it at the top, even here. So we have times there. So we have, even on top, square root of 2 minus 1. Even here, the square root of 3 plus 1, like that. So that this one becomes a 1 when I cancel, and it means I haven't introduced anything. So we have 1 times the square root of 2. This gives us the square root of 2 minus 1. Then we have over square root of 2 times square root of 2. So since it's a conjugate, we just multiply the first with the first. So this is the same as having square root of 2. The 1 that is here adds up with the 1 that is there. So we have power 2 there. Then we have the last with the last, 1 times 1. So we are going to have minus 1 for the first part. Then we have times, we have the square root of 3 plus 1 there. So we have, when we multiply 1 times the square root of 3 plus 1, since 1 doesn't change anything, it will return. We are going to have a square root of 3, then we have plus 1. Then over here we have the square root of 3 times square root of 3. It will be taking one of these, which will be the square root of 3. Then we have a 1 plus 1, which is a power 2. Getting the last with the last, we have minus 1 times 1, it will be a 1, like that. Then simplifying things, we are going to have the square root of 2 minus 1 over this one, and this one will go. So we are going to remain with a 2 there. Then we have minus 1. Then we have times the square root of 3 plus 1 over, we have square root of 3 squared will be equal to this one, and this one will cancel. So we have a 3 minus 1. So 3 minus 1. So we are going to have the square root of 2 minus 1, like that. Then we have over, a 2 minus 1 will give us 1. Then we have times the square root of 3 plus 1. Then 3 minus 1 gives us a 2, like that. So we are going now to just multiply the 2. So we can just leave the brackets like that by just saying we have what is in the bracket, square root of 2 minus 1 times the square root of 3 plus 1, like that. So we multiply those over, then the 2 times 1, we are just going to end here. So that means to say we have rationalized the denominator. We don't have anything on the denominator. If we want, we can go further by looking at the root of 6 and all that. So let's look at our next problem. So we have 5 over 3 minus 2 square root of 3. So to rationalize the denominator, we are going to attach the conjugate. So we have 3 plus the 2 square root of 3 like that. Then we have on top we have 3 plus 2 the square root of 3 like that. Then we are going to multiply 5 times everything there. So this is the same as having 5 times 3 plus 2 square root of 3 like that. Then we are going to have over then the first number with the first number. So we have 3 times 3, which will give us 9. Then we have our negative 2 times a 2 there. It will be negative. So 2 times 2, it will be, okay, let's just take one base like how we have been doing it, which is the whole number. Then we are going to have, so here we have 1, here we have 1, we are going to square this. So this is the same as having 5 times 3, we are going to have a 15. Then we have plus 5 times 2, we are going to have a 10. Then we have the square root of 3 like that, because 2 times 5 gives us 10. Then over, we are going to have 9 minus, these 2 can be distributed. This is the same as 2 squared times the square root of 3. Then we have the power squared. So that's the distributive property. So we have a 15 plus 10 square root of 3 over, we have a 9, then minus 2 squared will give us a 4. Then this one and this one will cancel. So we are going to have a 3 here. Then what we are remaining with is a 15 plus 10 square root of 3 over 9 minus 4 by 3 gives us a 12. So we are going to have 15 plus 10 square root of 3 over 9 minus 12. This gives us a negative. This gives us a negative 3 like that. So by the distributive property of denominators, this is the same as 15 over a negative 3. Then we have plus 10 square root of 3 over the negative 3. We have, anyways, we are just rationalizing the denominator. So we are just going to multiply the negative on both numbers, the up and the bottom, so that there is no negative on the, since these can cancel, on the denominator. So we have negative 1 multiplying everything there. It will be negative 15 minus 10 square root of 3 over negative 1 times negative 3. We are going to have a 3 like that. Let's look at now rationalizing the numerator. So rationalizing the numerator simply means to say we don't want the sign, the radical, the square root on top. So we are going to have our first problem. It says that we have 5 plus our h square root like that. Then we have minus 3 over our h like that. So we are going to be having we are going to introduce the conjugates on top, so which will be the square root of 5 plus h plus 3 over, we have the same number, we are going to introduce it even at the top or at the bottom. So we have the square root of 5 plus h like that. Then we have plus 3. So this is what is being multiplied there. So we have over h like that. Then same approach, as long as it's a conjugate, get the first, multiply with the first. So we have 1 there, we have 1 there. It will be 1 plus 1, which is our 2. So we are going to take one of the bases and add the powers, which will be 1 plus 1, which will give us a 2 like that. Get the second number, multiply it with the second. So we have minus 3 times 3 will give us a 9. Then over the denominator here, we are going to have h multiplying everything there. So this is the same as h. Then we have the square root of our 5 plus h. Then we have plus 3 like that. So we are going to have this one and this one goes. So on top we are remaining with a 5 plus h minus 9 like that, because the square root has gone. Then over, if we want, we can be able to multiply the h throughout, but it's unnecessary. So we are just going to say h, open brackets, the square root of 5 plus h, then we have plus a 3 there. Then we are going to ask ourselves, so here we are remaining with h, then negative 9 plus 5, it will be negative 4. Then over, we have the h here, then we are going to have the square root of our 5 plus our h, then plus 3 like that. So with this done, it simply means to say we have rationalized the numerator, as there is no number on the numerator. Let's look at our next problem. So same here. So we are going to have the conjugates. We are rationalizing the numerator. The conjugates will change to square root of 3. Then where there is positive, we are going to put minus the square root of 5. Then over, we have the same thing, square root of 3 minus the square root of 5 like that. Being the conjugate, first number by first number. So this is 1, this is 1. We are going to have the square root of 3. Then we are going to put a square there. If you want, you can say 3 times 3, which is the 9 square root of 9. It will still be a 3. Then last number with the last number, we are going to have our 5. We are going to have positive times negative. It will be negative. Then we have the square root of 5. Then we are going to add the powers. So it will be a 2. So 1 plus the 1 that is here, it will be a 2. Then over, we are going to have a 7, open brackets, multiplying everything here, it will be square root of 3 minus the square root of 5 like that. So here we have this square and this square root cancels, this square and this square root cancels. So we are going to have our 3 minus our 5 over, we are going to have a 7, then we have our square root of 3, then we have minus the square root of 5. So if we want, we can open the brackets, but it's unnecessary. So we have 3 minus 5, it will give us a negative 2 over 7 square root of 3, square root of 3 minus the square root of 5. As long as there's no radical on top, it means to say we have simplified that. So let's say we have this one. So how do we work out this one? So we are going to more like find the conjugate of the numerator. So this is the same as over a 1. Then we are going to introduce the square root of our x squared plus 1, x squared plus 1, which will give us x squared plus 1. Then we have plus x. So then since it's negative here, we are going to have plus there. Then over, all of this over the same number, which is our square root of x squared plus 1. Then we have our plus x like that. So we have plus x like that. Then same approach, first number with the first number. So it will be the square root of our x squared plus 1 plus 1. Then we are going to put a squared. Last number with last number, it will be negative. X times x, it will be x to the power of 2. Then we have over. Since this is multiplying with 1, it will just remain the same, which will be the square root of our x squared plus 1. Then we have plus our x like that. So we are going to cancel this one and this one to remain with our x squared plus 1. Then we have minus our x squared. Then we have over. We have our square root of our x squared plus 1. Then plus x like that. So x squared minus x, we are going to have our 1 over. We have the square root of our x squared plus 1. Then we have plus x like that. So this means to say we have converted it into, we have found the conjugate and we have rationalized into the denominator. So we are just remaining with 2 problems to close this video. So let's say we have expressed in the form a plus b square root of 3, where a and b are rational numbers. So we are going to have, it means to say, as long as they have given you this, they don't want a radical at the denominator. The radical could be there on the numerator, but not on the denominator. So we have the square root of our 3 plus 1 over the square root of. So what we are going to do here is find the conjugate for this first part. So this is the same as having the square root of 3 plus 1 over the square root of 3 minus 1 multiplies, again we have the square root of 3 plus 1 like that. Then on top we are going to also introduce the same number, square root of 3 plus 1 like that. Then we have plus our square root of 3 minus 1, which is at the end. So we are going to have this first number. So this is like this. This first number multiplies everything there. So we are going to have the square root of 3, open brackets, square root of 3 plus 1. Then this second number, the second number also, so we have plus 1 multiplies everything here. So we are going to have square root of 3 plus 1. So we are doing this because these two numbers are not conjugates. Then over, we have square root of 3. If we have conjugates, we just get the first number with the last number, or with the first number. It will be square root of 3 times square root of 3 is root of 9, or square root of 3, then we put a squared. Either you multiply 3 times 3 or you do that. Then the last number with the last number, it will be minus, negative times positive, it will be minus. Then we have minus 1 like that. Then we are going to have plus the square root of our 3 minus 1 like that. So to simplify our work from there, we are going to now multiply. So we have square root of 3 times square root of 3, it will be the square root of 3. Then we put a squared. Then we have plus square root of 3 times 1, it will be the square root of 3. 1 times the square root of 3, it will be the square root of 3. 1 times 1, it will be plus 1. Then over, we are going to have this one and this one will cancel. So we are going to have 3 minus 1 like that. Then we are going to have plus the square root of 3, then minus a 1 like that. So when we do that, this one and this one will go. So we have a 3 plus square root of 3 plus square root of 3. So you just add the coefficients, which is 1 plus 1. It will be a 2 square root of 3. Then we have plus a 1 there. Over 3 minus 1, it will give us 2. Then we have plus the square root of 3 minus 1 like that. So we have here, we have 3 plus 1. This will give us a 4. Then we have plus 2 square root of 3 like that over a 2. Then we have plus the square root of 3 minus 1. So 2 is our common denominator. This is the same as having 1. Then we are going to divide. So we have over a 2. Then since 2 divided by 2 is 1 times the whole of this, it will just be the same. So we have 4 plus 2 square root of 3. Then we also have plus, this 2 is more like it's multiplying everything there. So we have 2 times the square root of 3, it will be 2 square root of 3. 2 times negative 1, it will be minus a 2 like that. So we are going to be having this 2 square root of 3 plus 2 square root of 3. We just add the coefficients. 2 plus 2 gives us 4. So we have 4 plus 4 square root of 3. Then we have minus 2. Then over a 2 like that. So we are going to be having a 4 minus 2 will give us a positive 2 plus 4 square root of 3 over a 2 like that. Then these 2 can be distributed. So this is the same as having 2 over 2 plus 4 over a 2. Then the square root of 3 like that. So we are going to have a 1 plus 4 divided by 2. It gives us 2 square root of 3 like that. So that means to say we have expressed in the form a plus b square root of 3. So this was an indicator whether you're doing the correct thing or not. So let's look at our last one, where we have been told we have the 5 over 3 minus 2 square root of 3. We are supposed to express it in the form a plus b square root of 3. So we are going to find our so we have 5 over 3 minus 2 square root of 3. Let's apply a conjugate. So we are going to say this is the same as 3 plus a 2 square root of 3, like that. Then even here we have 3 plus 2 square root of 3, like that. Then we are going to multiply everything. So this is the same as having 5 open brackets 3 plus 2 square root of 3 over, we have our 3 times 3. So the first number with the first number, it will be 3 times 3, it will be 9. Then we have this one, we say minus, negative times negative, positive, it will be minus. We are going to get the whole thing, 2 square root of 3, then raise this to the power of 2. So we are going to have 5 times 3, it will give us a 15. 5 times 2, it will give us plus 10 square root of 3 over, we have a 9 minus, these two can be distributed, so we have, this is the same as having 2 squared times the square root of 3 squared, like that. Then we have our 15 plus 10 square root of 3 over our 9 minus 4. Then this one and this one goes, so we have minus 4. Then in brackets we have a 3, like that. So we are going to have 15 plus 10 square root of 3 over our 9. 4 times 3 gives us minus 12. Then we are going to be having 15 plus 10 square root of 3 over 9 minus 12 gives us a negative 3, like that. Then we can distribute this negative 3. This is the same as having 15 over the negative 3 plus 10 square root of 3 over the negative 3, like that. So after doing that, we have 15 divided by 3. This will give us a negative 5. Then this negative will be pushed up there. We have minus 10 over 3, then the square root of 3. This means that we have expressed in the form a plus our b square root of 3. So the indicator, do you have the square root of 3 there? Certainly. So that means to say we have expressed. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you would like, subscribe, and share for more.